Now, this film is not as funny as it sounds, and tickling is actually not as funny or as enjoyable as one, when you think about it, it hurts. And so does this film. It kind of hurts to watch this journey that David took. Welcome to the show.
No, thanks for having me.
We should just get right into it. First of all, to say Dylan Reeve, your co-director, is in New Zealand.
He is. He's back home with his kids.
But it was thanks to his dogged determination that you, at least in your narration, didn't give up the fight.
Yeah, Dylan was like my buddy on this film, and the whole way through we came under a lot of attacks, so we helped each other out.
Right, and did he join you at the premiere at Sundance?
He did.
In January.
Yeah, he was there. Yeah, we had a great time.
Okay, and did anybody from the tickling side join you?
Yeah, they did. We had people we had invited that were, talent in the film, but then we also had people turn up that didn't want to be in the film that were suddenly at this festival in audiences. Okay. So that was pretty surreal.
Now, you might be wondering, why is there a documentary about tickling? Why would there, why would we even go down that road? And I was wondering the same very thing when I started watching the film. It turns out that there's a lot of espionage and lawsuits and heavy-duty illegal activity behind professional online tickling competitions, which you also may not have heard of. David, can you tell me, first of all, how you came across this and what intrigued you right at first?
Yeah, so in New Zealand, I'm a light entertainment reporter, so my job is to do those 2-minute stories about a cat up a tree or a band that's visiting or a film or something like that. So I'm always looking for a story that will be of interest to people. And I came across this competition online called Competitive Endurance Tickling. And it was a tickling competition, and it happened in LA once a month, and young men from all over the world, including New Zealand, would be flown to LA, being paid, $1,500 cash, put up in a nice hotel, and they just needed to tickle each other. And these videos were online, it's these guys in Adidas gear tickling. And I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard of. And so I emailed the company. They said they needed to check with their legal department first if they could do an interview. I forgot about it for a week, and then I went back and I just thought I'll post on their Facebook wall. They had a page with 20,000 likes. It was popular, it's a legitimate thing. And I posted on their wall saying, I'm a journalist in New Zealand. I'd love to interview you about this tickling sport. And they just immediately
attacking you.
Yeah, the first comment from them was, we don't want to deal with a homosexual journalist. And so it was like, okay, this is weird because it's the sport it's a homoerotic thing. You just watch this. You look at these guys and it looks a little bit homoerotic, right? And that's the response they came back with. So it's like, are they homophobic? Why do they care what my sexuality is? And it all just went from there.
And as you went down this road, because you were intrigued enough to then pursue it, it seems like what happened was this film was made thanks to their pushback. Like, there was not going to be a documentary until it became so intriguing as to why they were so aggressive. Because it wasn't just homophobia. They were also threatening you. They were flying people over, threatening lawsuits.
It just escalated because, it started with these homophobic responses, and then that turned into emails, which went into weirdly racist sort of territory as well. Just deeply offensive comments all the time. And then we got a letter. We started blogging about it in New Zealand. I started blogging about it, and then Dylan started blogging at the same time. And they didn't like that.
Does he also?
Yeah, no, he just loves the internet. So I was blogging for our news website, and he just had his own website, and he was looking, who's behind it. I was trying to find out people that had been tickled, and we were both sort of investigating at the same time. And once we started doing that, and then we launched a Kickstarter because we thought maybe there's going to be a film in this. They sent 3 people from New York to New Zealand, first class, to mediate with us. And this sort of basically said, after you've met with us, you'll know there's no documentary here. There's nothing, you won't want to look any further into this. You'll drop it. And that just makes you more curious, right? Because when people are telling you not to do something, you just want to do it. And their whole message when they were in New Zealand was, if you do this documentary, you will get sued into the ground. You'll lose your house. you'll have no life left. It's just not worth pursuing it. And again, we're like, what's there to hide? It's just tickling, right?
Yeah, it's how long now? How long is this person going to be down on the mat for? And
these videos are between half an hour and an hour long. So
of the same person?
Yeah, they change position. So he's on his back, so they'll do 10 minutes on the back, and then they'll flip over and they'll change guys, and it's very formulaic. But I mean, the other thing that was suspicious is that like it wasn't really clear how it was a competition. There was no, there was no winners or losers. There was no scoreboard. It was just tickling. So that kind of set me off thinking, what is this thing?
And he's strapped down. He's tied
Yeah,
down.
they're on a bed. They're in a photography studio in downtown LA, so they've hired a space for it. There's a bed on, these guys arrive, there's a bed on the floor. You get tied down and you tickle them. And that's what competitive tickling is.
And do these guys who are on top also have to be on the bottom?
They do. They swap round.
They circle around.
It happens over a weekend, so it's basically 2 days of tickling. And it's very regimented. So it's like one person will get tied down for a certain amount of time and be tickled, then they'll become the tickler. So it's just like tickler is like constantly swapped around. They've all got
like
different
torture,
colored gear.
basically.
Yeah, it's tickle torture.
It's also all Adidas, is that?
All Adidas gear. So the very first thing I did was called Adidas and said, do you sponsor a tickling competition? And they said, what are you talking about? So I sent them the videos and they were like, no, we have nothing to do with this. No.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah.
They would not want to be associated.
No.
But the thing that's really intriguing as well is it feels very benign on the surface. Like,
yeah.
okay, tickling, like I guess, well, everybody has their thing. And
It's
now with the
innocent,
internet,
right? Totally.
we all have niche interests. We can connect and find each other.
100%.
Yeah.
And it became pretty obvious when I started looking into this that people do love tickling. Like, tickling is a fetish for some people. And so very early on, Dylan and I were both obviously thinking, this isn't necessarily a sport. It has a sexual element to it. Because when you watch it inherently, even though they've got clothes on, it inherently feels a bit sexual.
Yeah.
And as we looked into this, what we found...
They're all beautiful young boys.
They're all like
it
beautiful
seems,
young men.
It doesn't seem like there's any girls.
No girls. Purely men.
Okay.
Which again is weird why they're homophobic, because it's just guys tickling guys, so why would they be homophobic,
Because, well, homophobia usually stems from, it seems like a
deep-seated
desire.
sort of, completely.
Yeah.
So we dug around a little bit and we actually started finding out that a lot of the guys in the tickling videos, they had these strange websites set up that were essentially like trying to bully them, and all their personal information was there, all the videos were online, and it was basically almost like an outing site, like saying, look at this sick person doing this tickling video. And so we noticed a lot of the boys in the videos had these websites associated with them and were sort of seemed to be essentially being bullied. And so that kind of deepened the mystery for us as well.
Yeah, I guess once you started tracking back, you found that Jane O'Brien Media, the name of the company that you were hearing from with the initial responses, has a long history, actually, of under different names.
Yeah, I mean,
like
it was
the Terry DeSisto.
Yeah, it became unclear. I mean, initially when we started it, I was dealing with Jane O'Brien and her PR person, Debbie Kuhn. We couldn't find much about these people actually existing, and so Dylan started looking into who owned the websites. And, we found out that JaneO'BrienMedia.com, that actually was associated with the company that had so many other tickling websites associated with it. And also was associated with those bullying sites that I mentioned. So it was all tied into one big thing. And so, and then I guess in the documentary, we found out that this has like a 20-year history that stretches way, way back.
Wow.
And sort of with the film, we just wanted to find out what the hell was going on. I mean, it was a mystery.
Yeah. So before we say anything else, let's get everybody up on the same page. I guess we have some lawsuits happening now.
There are a few lawsuits. There are a few flying around.
Which you don't seem to mind. The whole thing has been riddled with lawsuits.
I just feel used to it now. Like when 2 years ago, I got my first letter from a lawyer saying...
It scared you.
Yeah, it was horrible. But like the more it happens, you just kind of get used to it.
Like, oh, a lawyer letter.
Yeah, another one, hooray. Yeah,
right,
what's this one
dinner,
going to say?
You know?
Yeah.
All right, so let's look at the trailer. That's all we have the rights to show today. So let's look at the trailer and we'll come back and dig a little bit deeper into Tickled.
I can't say I've ever interviewed anyone that looks like you before.
Really?
I've made a career out of looking at the weird and bizarre side of life.
It's quite a kick.
So when I discovered a strange video online, I knew I'd found my next story.
CET, Competitive Endurance Tickling group we got here.
Competitive Endurance Tickling. It was one of the strangest sports I'd seen. So I told Jane O'Brien Media I'd like to do an interview. Instead of getting a yes or no, I got this.
Association with a homosexual journalist is not something we will embrace. Shame on you, little gay Kiwis. Regards, Jane O'Brien Media.
It was hard to take the insult seriously, considering the sport did seem slightly gay. This tickling wormhole was getting deeper.
I mean, obviously it's just for fun.
Is it just for fun? It's tickling.
You know, I was young at the time, didn't think nothing of it. I was like, $2,000, that's gonna be cool.
I mean, imagine being a teenage boy. She would just keep sending them whatever they wanted.
She offered my one buddy a Chevy Cruze and $30,000. The money's endless.
This tickling empire is way bigger than we ever imagined.
They have tickle cells all over the U.S. They're everywhere.
And at some point, these boys say, I'm done. The thing that she hates the most was no. It was like a bomb went off.
Your phone number and your personal information are entirely known and subject to publication on the internet.
All hell broke loose.
All of a sudden, these videos are on YouTube, Vimeo, and every other site you could imagine.
Sending emails to the high school that I coach at.
What do you think your mother's gonna think about this?
We're shooting a documentary.
I understand what you think you're doing.
If you want to stick your head in the blast furnace, do it.
Jane O'Brien's a ghost.
Okay, let's go. I'm breathing heavily.
Yes, Sam.
We could hear laughter coming out of the vents.
We've been spotted.
My God. Oh my God.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yes,
Miss
it's-
this film at your own risk.
It's a strange one.
It really is one of the most bizarre films I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and if you want to see it, I should mention on June 17th it opens across America. So we're giving you a healthy month to get ready for the tickling movie. But it really, I have so many questions. I mean, first of all, how the heck are they funding this thing? You know, and then how did you like even when I'm watching the film, I'm wondering. How did you get to the identity of the real person behind it? I don't want to give away your entire film on the show, so let's be careful about saying where we ended up. But let's just say there's a man behind all this who's pretending to be a woman.
There's someone behind it who isn't who they say they are on the internet, for sure.
Yeah.
So it was just a lot of digging. I mean, it was a combination, and I think that's why Dylan and I made a great team, because it was a combination of old school digging, calling people, meeting people, chatting with people, and also digging on the internet. And that's where Dylan is so amazing, because he's got this huge, amazing tech brain. And this was a story that exists on the internet. Like this person has always used the internet to seduce people into this world of tickling. And so
And
Dylan's...
FedEx, with lots of cash.
And lots of FedEx. I mean, this is a crazy thing. Like, we started finding out that there was another character that wasn't Jane O'Brien, who's the woman that we were looking into, who did very similar things in the 90s. And she'd basically FedEx, $100 bills to these kids' dorms if they made tickling videos with their roommates. And then she'd start sending them like MP3 players and computers and whatever these kids wanted. All they had to do was tickle each other on camera, which seemed very similar to what we were seeing with Jane O'Brien. So we decided like putting things together and chatting to people that were involved in that world back then. And it ends up, and I don't want to go into it too much, but there are certainly links between it all.
Yeah.
And it's so outrageous. I mean, the funny thing is...
But there's other people that do tickling too that aren't associated with this evil corporation, Jane O'Brien Media.
Yeah.
And the sick human behind all of this. There's another guy who was totally open to seeing you.
He's so cool. Richard Ivey. Yeah, Richard Ivey is a tickling
tickler.
He's
if you're going to
so
get
cool.
into tickling, go with Richard Ivey.
Go with Richard Ivey. He's your guy. And he actually knows. So he's a professional tickler. So his whole job is tickling people. He puts the footage on a website. It's $20 a month, and you can watch all the tickling you want. And so we went and interviewed him in Florida. Part of the deal was that he would tickle me first before he would give me an interview. So I was actually strapped down in his tickling chair for 10 minutes, which was
be one of the
awful.
extras?
Oh, it's too awful to watch. Like, I can barely watch it. It's so awkward and awful to see, but it'll come out at some point. But Richard is the opposite to this company that I was looking into for the film, because he's out and proud, he's a gay man, he loves tickling, he's very clear with the models, you know, what it's about, what it's for, and he just loves tickling, and he's totally cool. There's none of the bullying involved that we see with Jane O'Brien, there's none of that stuff. He's just a cool guy, and so we kind of learn about the world of tickling through him.
And what you learn is that really exerting control over, it seems like, is actually, I mean, I guess we see it in different forms, but it's a very sensual thing. The way, at least, did you film it that way in slow-mo?
Yeah, we wanted, there's a few bits that in the film where we went into off-speed stuff, because like any time we sort of wanted to get into someone else's head, it just seemed like a really good way to show that. So there's a few moments in the film where we slip into slow-mo, and it's a character thinking about something or reflecting on something. And with the tickling, we wanted to shoot tickling in slow-mo because A, it looks cool, like seeing a body contorting and being tickled in slow-mo is really visually an interesting thing to watch.
But also when you're seeing the finger on the nipple, it's
there's
like...
a little scene, scene with a little
really
finger.
Is. I mean, you think,
it's
oh,
super
well,
sexual.
I've done that, or we've had that happen, you know what I mean, or whatever. Like, that's something that we do.
It's a connection,
as a sexual
totally.
thing.
And having that in slow-mo, I think, kind of sort of showed that sexual side to it much more than if it was at normal speed.
Right. Did you witness anybody become aroused as a result of?
Not in our
Not in the
shoots.
actual...
Richard's thing, his whole thing as being a professional tickler is it's unprofessional if he gets turned on. So when he's tickling, he's not getting turned on. He'll watch the videos later and get turned on, but not at the time.
Okay. Because he started, I mean, this was a side gig, right? And
then it was a side gig.
It became a full-time job because it was so lucrative?
He realized that his love of tickling was shared by so many other people. And he was like creating good tickling product. You know, like it's hard to find good tickling videos out there. And he was making them.
How does he recruit his people?
Just on the internet, little ads that he places and just word of mouth. So he's got some really, I mean, he flies people in from all over the place. He's in Florida. He flies people in from New York. And it's just word of mouth.
And then he straps them into a chair and he'll use even like an electric toothbrush, right?
His tickling tools are varied. And,
is there more than what we saw?
Oh, there's all sorts. Like what he did with me when I was in the chair, he had my feet like locked in stocks. And then he lubed up my feet with KY jelly. And he got like those really bristly hairbrushes and just ran it up and down my foot. And then what I was doing, I was gripping my toes in like this because you naturally, as a reflex, do that so you can't like tickle there. And he was like, I'm going to get you. And he basically, along the top of the stocks, he's got shoelaces, and he got each toe, pulled it back, tied it up with a shoelace, so I couldn't curl my toes in. And then he went to town on me, and it was like a nightmare. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Torture.
Like literally, it is. It's awful. It's torture. It's tickle torture.
Wow.
But people like seeing that, and it's like it's a power thing. Like, I mean, the whole film really is about exerting power over other people in various ways. And tickling, in its very simplest form, is that. It's someone who has control over someone else.
Yeah, and then for the person behind Jane O'Brien, it's something that comes from childhood, right? This person was bullied. This person.
It's a cycle
this person wants to take young men, and I mean, I came away with this kind of wow. At the end of the day, this is a revenge story, you know, of like a person who felt disempowered as a child.
It's so weird because I'm limited in what I can even sort of theorize about this person because there's various lawsuits going on,
Should
and so
I just
I've got to be.
Maybe I'll get sued.
Yeah, careful. But yeah, it's definitely like there's definitely a cycle of abuse and bullying, and you know, like that's the truth with bullying. It's not a simple thing. It's a feedback loop. So if you bully someone, it's just going to go on and on and on.
A bully.
Yeah, it's that old story.
Yeah, but it's beyond. It's sort of this kind of bait and switch sort of thing where.
It's a game.
They're bringing people in, and it's not just the weekend. It's like it then becomes. I mean, you met this guy TJ, who said that it really, and then other people that couldn't be on camera, but like
completely
said that it ruined their lives for a time at least.
Yeah, I mean they go and do this innocent tickling shoot for a weekend, but these videos end up If they
and they don't sign away the right to publicize the video per se.
There's no one knows it's going to go on the internet. It's going to be like an audition tape or a private sort of a thing. So the fact
they're breaking all these agreements.
The fact it pops up on YouTube is it's a surprise to these guys. And a lot of these guys are from, they're sporty and they're heterosexual, and to suddenly have them in this weird sort of pseudo-sexual video where other guys are tickling them, like it's scary for them. Yeah. And it's like, and the company knows that, like the people they hire are the sorts of people where the existence of that video could be used against them.
Yeah.
And so it's a pretty weird world.
And he knows that. I mean, this guy's in education, right? Like the guy behind all this is actually an educator.
We're talking too much about it now.
Okay. We can't do it.
Oh, well, no, I think we should there's a few things in there that I think we should just let people go on the ride.
Okay. So I won't talk about hairy, hook-nosed, and horny. I should probably leave that out from my notes.
There's a few moments. There's a few moments I think that I just want people to like experience it.
What we saw in the trailer was the phone blaster.
Yeah.
That's a phone blaster is a new expression to me.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it either. There's, one of the ways that he would sort of try and harass people was there'd be an automatic robot call that would come up to your phone. Like spam, but on a mobile device. So yeah, that's something that he did
with
back
like an electronic voice.
Yeah, so it's spooky. It's just like getting and telling them that their tickling video is going to be everywhere. The thing you thought was going to be private, it's going to be sent to your school, your girlfriend, your parents, your grandparents. Everyone's going to see this thing. And that's what that phone blaster was to do. And
it does lose people their jobs and things like that.
Yeah,
right,
I mean, there's certain. We talked to an athlete in the film, and just the existence of this video. He'd go to try out for a team, and you Google someone, and when you Google, someone that you're wanting to recruit for a football team, and the first 100 results are them on gay porn sites and in tickling videos, that starts to disrupt that system.
Do you have to pay Jane O'Brien Media to watch the videos?
No, they're all for free online.
So how are they funding it?
Well, I mean, that's part of what we were so curious about, because I mean, this is this company that sent 3 people first class from New York to Auckland to try and persuade us not to do the film. And so we were confused because, someone like Richard Ivey, he is a professional tickler and he's got a paywall and you pay $20 a month. That's how he makes money.
Right.
But Jane O'Brien was paying exorbitant amounts of money just to make these videos, hiring, photo studios and, flying in 10 boys once a month to LA. Like, it's a lot of money. But the views on YouTube were low. There weren't ad clicks. There was nothing there. So it's a mystery.
A mystery you have semi-solved in this film, which we're not going to talk about.
We've got to the bottom of it.
On the show. And the results from premiering at Sundance and coming out now.
Yeah, it's been wild.
Magnolia's putting it out. I mean,
it's amazing. I'm excited.
It's your first documentary.
It
Congratulations.
is. Thank you so much. And
what do you think?
I'm blown away. Like when Dylan and I started this, we thought it was going to be like a $5 download on Vimeo. It might be like a half-hour thing. Yeah. And so to have it at Sundance and have it premiering there was incredible. And the journey's been strange because, I mean, there's been lawsuits that have come out of it. We've had people from the film turning up at screenings, taking notes. So like for the audience that suddenly finds themselves sitting next to those people, it's almost like a 4D experience for them because they're suddenly like in the film almost. And we've had PIs coming in Missouri. We had 2 PIs sent from New York to Missouri to try and pirate the film, filming from a coffee cup. We had to get the police to escort them out.
They learned it from you.
They learned it from me.
You filmed from a coffee cup.
I did. I think it was. I like to think it was luck because there's that bit in the film where I'm trying to like make this covert thing, but it's kind of a bit of a mess. These were like seasoned PIs that were trying to do the same thing, and it was so obvious because they were sitting in the theater and they'd move their hands and move the grip, but not move the cup.
Do you monitor the screenings?
We have been because Jane O'Brien Media has been coming to screenings, and we don't know what they're planning. They didn't want the documentary to be made. And so we keep an eye out. And in this case, we found 2 PIs that were trying to pirate the film.
I mean, I can't see, I've run out of questions because we can't give the movie away. I mean, I was just going to say, it seemed like the legal stuff had died down a bit.
Yeah, it did. It did die down. But then, strangely enough, once the film got out there, it sort of flared up again.
Yeah.
So, but we're dealing with it. We've got E&O insurance for the film, so we're protected. We stand behind it. It's coming out. It's coming out.
So now, aren't you intrigued? I mean, this is kind of a, It's a whodunit. It's a whodunit, and it's a tickling thing, and it's really bizarre and awesome. And you've come all the way from New Zealand to show it to Canadian audience at Hot Docs.
Yeah.
And to do a round of press in preparation.
It's just
for
fun
the
showing
release
it to
of this
people. I mean, I
wild
can't wait for
film.
people to see it, and like, it feels like it's like a roller coaster. Like you want to watch it with people in an audience because it's fun.
Usual question would be, you know, what was your biggest challenge? But I mean, obviously, the biggest challenge has been, you know, getting the subjects to talk, right?
Completely.
Probably. Yeah.
No one wants to talk. Yeah, and you know this. Like it's hard. Like winning people over, even when they sort of are interested in it, is difficult. But when they don't want to have a camera in their face at all, it's a nightmare.
Is Richard Ivey good?
So good.
Is he happy?
Richard's so happy.
Oh, good.
He's getting some more traffic to his website.
Oh, perfect.
A couple of people that have come to screenings have come up to me afterwards and said, I didn't know this, but I got turned on by that tickling scene. So they didn't know that they were into tickling, and now they know.
Wow. I mean, this is another show, not BYOD, but I'm very curious. What are the other, you know, sort of attributes that a person who's turned on by tickling has? Because it's a bit sadistic.
It is a bit sadistic. I mean, it's like S&M, but brought way down, you know? Like brought way down. It's just tickling.
Amazing that they have their shirts on still. That astounded me too. That, I mean, at least in Richard's videos, they take off their shirts.
They do.
But in the Jane O'Brien videos, they seem to be fully outfitted, you know?
It's legit. It's a tickling competition,
That's
you know?
what it is.
Clothes on. There's nothing wrong here. That's the approach.
Yeah, interesting. Well, look at that. You know, I made this movie, We Live in Public, looking at sort of what would happen when we all kind of projected our lives online. And one of the greatest things we discovered was that we would find our niche audiences, you know?
Totally.
And we would know, we'd like people with strange fetishes or anything. Well, you know, remember that meetup?
Yeah.
Meetup.com or
do.
whatever. And we could all meet, you know, if you like piercings in your nipples, you could meet everyone with piercings in your nipples in New York and this time and this place.
I mean, that's the thing, like, that's what's good
kind
about
of
the
like
internet.
What's happened with tickling, you
Totally.
know?
There's something, I mean,
but it allows us to assume different identities, right?
Totally. The internet's a crazy place.
But simultaneously, you slip. People slip along the way.
They do.
Lying is very difficult. The truth does come out.
Yeah,
even on the
maintaining a
internet.
lie over, you know, like a 20-year period is pretty difficult to do.
Yeah. The great thing is, and I'll finish with this, is there's a beautiful sort of lesson in this, which is that, you know, one of your main villains in the film, in an attempt to hurt other people, hurt themselves, you know, revealed, you know, by posting things that they weren't supposed to post, ended up posting a lot of personal information.
Yeah, it's that whole thing about that coming back to get them, which is a
and
pretty unique moment.
Like we said back in 2009, it's never yours to make private again once it's out there.
Once it's out there, it's out there.
That's it. So don't go sign up for if you're in LA and you're thinking, wow, it's only 2 days till the weekend, I could sign up for this weekend's tickling competition, just consider the fact that that form you sign might actually be irrelevant and it might end up on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, if you're a woman, you're disqualified anyway.
You can't even join the team. I'm sorry, you can't do it. You can't do it.
Yeah. Well, this goes in one of the greatest, the strangest BYODs of our hundreds. So congratulations.
Cool. Thank you
for
so
that.
much.
Yeah, and
I
thank you
appreciate
for
it.
bringing us your movie. And
It's
it's
okay.
great to meet you. And I hope that you continue to make documentaries because you certainly find some, you know, look underneath some strange rocks.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to.
You should keep pursuing it.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm glad you haven't been, you know.
I haven't been jailed yet.
Well, you haven't been jailed or you know, or what's the word? Turned off it.
No.
From all the
I love
lawsuits.
it.
Most of us get to make docs without lawsuits per se.
Yeah, I
You've
mean,
had like 25
the
during
positive
this film.
thing with lawsuits, at least, it feels like you're at least poking in the right direction. You know, if you're getting a lawsuit, there must be something to see, right?
They say when you're sued, it means you're successful.
And I'm a light entertainment journalist. Like, I've got nothing to lose. Like, I don't have like houses and stuff. You know, I'm a journalist. I've got no money.
I think that you might be more than a light entertainment journalist at this point.
It might have
This
changed.
is not light entertainment.
No, it goes pretty
This
dark.
is
It
pretty
goes
dark.
pretty dark.
You're a dark entertainment journalist now. All right. Well, welcome to the doc side.
No, thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. See you next week.